Welcome to the Talk of Champions live video chat. Got Andrew Bone here. What's up, Bone? How you been, man?
Hey, what's up, Kyle? Just heading to Atlanta today to get ready for the Rivals Camp Series in Atlanta this weekend on Sunday. A lot of top talent going to be there. We've seen a lot of top talent through. Huh?
Yeah, we certainly have, and we got some guys here in Tuscaloosa this coming weekend. We'll talk all about that here in the next 25 minutes or so. But wanted to talk to you about Kayvon Thibodeaux. Visited Alabama last week, and it appears that Alabama is now the team to beat. Let's talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The five-star defensive end out of California visited Tuscaloosa on last week. Spent a couple days at Alabama. It was his first visit over to Tuscaloosa, and we kind of expected. You kind of expect once kids that may be out from outside of the region, especially kids in California, when they come to Tuscaloosa, and it's a big kind of culture shock because it's just all about football in Tuscaloosa, and as nice as the facilities are, and you see all the championship trophies, you see the Heisman trophies, you see, you get a chance to meet with Nick Saban and the coaching staff, and you see all these elite players that are on the team from all across the country. Plus, you got guys like Julio Jones and C.J. Mosley and O.J. Howard, guys who are in Tuscaloosa training with the team, working out throughout the spring. Getting ready for their football season as well. He's got an opportunity to meet these guys who are all pros. Not just elite players who are playing at Alabama, but you get a chance to meet some NFL players, and you're just around an elite football program for a few days, and you kind of get a chance to see what it's all about and how much it's all about football. And you may go visit schools like especially on the West Coast. You go to a school like USC. You've got USC, which is a rich history traditional program, but you also have so many other things in Los Angeles. Whereas
Yeah,
Tuscaloosa, it's just all about football, and I think that's what Nick Saban and that coaching staff really tries to sell. You don't have any distractions. You go to class, you go practice or play football. That's all it is in Tuscaloosa. You're there for 3 to 4 years, and then if you're good enough, you get a chance to go play in the NFL. And Alabama's track record, I think somebody put out a list the other day, and in the last I think it was the last 10 years, Alabama has had 9 first-round NFL draft picks, and maybe it was more. It may have been more than that. It seems like Alabama's had several first-round draft picks every single year. Yeah, that number does seem wrong, doesn't it? It seems like it's a lot more than that. A lot of, I think I was wrong on that. That's got to be wrong. They've had a lot of years where they've had 5, 6 guys that have been drafted. So a lot of first round draft picks, a lot of elite players, and maybe it was top 10 draft picks. I can't remember, but I think when these kids get a chance to come visit, and that's the biggest thing, especially with kids in California. Alabama just wants the opportunity to get these kids on campus, and they've had a lot of kids who have visited. Maybe for official visits rather than, being able to come in for an unofficial visit. Their first visit is 2 weeks before signing day, and these kids are kind of blown away by everything. And all of a sudden, Alabama's, a top 3, top 2 school for them. But because they've only maybe visited one time, or their family hasn't been able to come multiple times, and I'm not saying that they were going to choose Alabama from the get-go if they would have visited early. But I think, a lot of these kids, if they would have visited earlier, rather than just a week or two before National Signing Day, Alabama could have had a better chance in getting some of these guys. But Kayvon Thibodeaux visits, comes out and says that Alabama is the team to beat. And that puts Alabama in the driver's seat. He's visiting Florida State this weekend. He says he's kind of ready to end his recruitment, but I think he's probably going to slow it down and evaluate these programs, and then kind of take it from there. But we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll make a decision soon. Maybe he'll wait until the fall. But having top kids from California that are on the team, guys who were 5 stars, number 1 ranked player at their position, guys like Jonah Williams, Najee Harris. Then you have, the West Coast guys like Tua Tagovailoa on campus who are, trying to recruit these guys. It's a big deal. So, and now you got some other guys who are committed, like Pierce Quick and Paul Tyson, who are very active on social media, who are trying to become as friends with as many of these guys as possible, to try to recruit them every single day. I think it's huge for Alabama moving forward.
I know it's not on your script, but I wanted to talk to you about that. Paul Tyson. I mean, as you mentioned, Pierce Quick, very active on social media. Let's get this thing going, guys. Let's get this 2019 class going. Paul Tyson, similar vibe. I mean, really going after guys. That certainly has to help Alabama in terms of going after big time targets in 2019, right?
Oh, absolutely, and those guys are pretty active on social media, as I mentioned. Especially, Pierce Quick has been doing this for over a year now. Committed last year to Alabama. Has been very active, especially when he visits campus and gets a chance to be around these guys, and especially during the football season. So now with Paul Tyson on board, we all expected Paul Tyson to commit sooner rather than later, and now he's on board, and being a quarterback, being that perceived leader of the class, he's already on social media talking to a lot of guys, and he told me he's going to try to get to Tuscaloosa as often as possible. So, when he hears of a top kid that's going to be visiting Tuscaloosa, he's going to try to get down there and spend some time with them and interact with them. So I think it's huge if Alabama can maybe get a few more guys committed in the next few weeks or next few months, going into the football season, having a big group of guys who are committed, especially on football game weekends, it'll be huge for them moving forward. There's a pretty big guy visiting this weekend in Clay Webb. Webb, the number one player in the state of Alabama, very close friends with Pierce Quick and also Paul Tyson. Those guys just came back from a vacation together for spring break. So, having the number one player in the state, a five-star offensive lineman, and one of Alabama's top overall targets in this class, really good friends with those guys, I think it's huge. And this is going to be the second weekend in a row where he's visited Alabama. So I think that's also huge. He says he's probably going to wait a while before making a decision. It wouldn't shock me if he goes ahead and announces, pretty soon, just because since Alabama is the leader for him, he's visited back-to-back weekends. He has a couple friends who are committed. That would really boost Alabama's class moving forward, getting a five-star on board early, and especially the number one player in the state of Alabama, because in years past we've always seen that number one player in Alabama wait until signing day to announce a decision. And getting him on board early would be, I think, would be huge.
Now, a player like Webb, who else is courting Webb besides Alabama? Who are some top targets, and who is Alabama going to have competition landing Webb from?
Well, early on, Auburn was a big threat for him. I think that sort of has the momentum there has kind of swayed a little bit. He likes Georgia a lot. Georgia is certainly a school that he's very interested in. I think he has some family over in Athens, and he really likes that coaching staff. He likes Clemson a lot. I think he's going to get up to Tennessee, but make no mistake, Alabama is definitely the team to beat here. I think he's going to take some visits, but he's got a great relationship with Alabama offensive line coach Brent Key. To have had an outstanding relationship for the last 2 years. He's said for a long time that that's the relationship that's the coach he has the closest relationship with out of any school. So I think that relationship is definitely going to play a big part in his recruitment, and certainly when and if he commits to Alabama, I think Brent Key definitely is going to play a big role and a big factor in that decision.
Alabama, as you've mentioned several times, dipping into Mississippi. Can you mention some guys from Mississippi that Alabama is going after and has the best chances of potentially landing from 2019?
Well, yeah, they had some top Mississippi guys on campus last weekend. Kobe Dean, one of the top linebackers in the country out of Horn Lake. They also had Jarian Handy, a big defensive lineman, 6'5", about 265 pounds. He told me, he said, my role model is Raekwon Davis. Raekwon Davis is one of the best defensive linemen in the country, who came from Mississippi, Meridian, Mississippi, signed with Alabama, obviously having a great career in Tuscaloosa. Jarian Jones, a defensive back out of Mississippi, was also on campus last weekend, has Alabama in his top 3. Those are 3 guys that really are very high on Alabama right now that I think Alabama's got a chance to sign all of those guys and a few others. And Nathan Peckering out of Mississippi, big defensive lineman that Alabama would love to sign. He's been a big target for a long time, and also Byron Young, another defensive lineman. They've got some good defensive linemen in the state of Mississippi this year. If Alabama could get one or 2 of those guys, would certainly be a big boost to the recruiting class.
This weekend, we got the Blue Angels in Tuscaloosa, which I'm excited about. We got them Saturday and Sunday. Also, another scrimmage for Alabama and a big-time recruiting weekend for Alabama during the spring season. As you mentioned, Clay Webb going to be in town this weekend. Who else is expected to be in Tuscaloosa this weekend?
Well, we were talking about defensive linemen. Another big defensive lineman that's going to be in Tuscaloosa starting on Friday, spending Friday and Saturday in Tuscaloosa is Antonio Alfano out of New Jersey, one of the best defensive linemen in the country. This is going to be his second visit to Tuscaloosa, so definitely one to keep an eye on. See what happens there. He's going to visit Alabama and then take an unofficial visit over to Georgia. I would expect him down the road to trim his list and likely come back to Tuscaloosa for an official visit. Nolan Smith, big Rivals 100 defensive end, recruited mainly as an outside linebacker, can also play that jack linebacker position. Been a Georgia commitment for a long time. Originally from Savannah, but plays at IMG Academy. He's making another trip to Tuscaloosa. Was at Alabama in February. It's supposed to be in Tuscaloosa on Friday and maybe Saturday morning as well. But he's expected to visit Levante Bentley, 4-star linebacker out of Jackson Olin High School in Birmingham, making another trip down to Alabama. Alabama also has a few kids from the DC area, Virginia area. Baltimore. I'm gonna name every.
You're in the region,
in the DMV area. But yeah, out of Baltimore, Maryland, Shane Lee, Rivals 100 linebacker. One of the top inside linebackers in the country is on campus for the next few days. Actually arrived on Thursday and staying in town until Sunday. So that's a big visitor there. They had a couple other visitors earlier in the week. Tula's younger brother, Tulia Tonga Viola, the in-state quarterback from Thompson High School, and his teammate Amari Knight, big offensive tackle. Those 2 guys were in Tuscaloosa the day after Alabama was at the White House in D.C. So, it's been a big spring for Alabama, having a lot of top visitors on campus. Just about every single weekend so far. I mean, I'll tell you what, I looked at Alabama's list of visitors last weekend on Saturday for the first spring scrimmage, and it was more impressive than a lot of teams' spring games. There was a lot of top talent on campus, and probably more Rivals 100 prospects in town just for Alabama's first scrimmage than they were for some spring games. So I think it just says a lot about Alabama's recruiting ability this year. I think a lot of things have changed in regards to their approach. We've seen a lot more offers go out this year too. I mean, normally Alabama's kind of slow in terms of offering kids. Not necessarily these kids, every single kid that's getting an offer can't commit, but going ahead and extending an offer and saying, basically saying, we think you're one of our top targets. We want you to at least come to campus, at least participate in camp this summer. We've seen a lot more of those go out this year, and a lot of presence on social media with guys like Josh Gaddis and Jeff Banks. Guys are very, very active on social media this year, interacting with these kids. And I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
Bone, before we let you go, Alabama has 6 commitments. They're ranked 6th in the nation according to Rivals.com. Who's that commitment number 7? Who are we on commitment watch for?
Well, you never know in terms of who's going to commit next, because you've got just so many guys that, some guys are saying, oh, yeah, I could commit anytime. I could commit on this date. I may wait. I mean, I would always keep an eye on Clay Webb just because this is his second visit to Tuscaloosa. A defensive end, outside linebacker type guy that visited a few weeks ago, or last week, Kevin Harris out of Georgia. Going to make a decision, looks like in early May. Right now it's Alabama or LSU, and both those schools really want him. He was in Tuscaloosa last week and going back down to LSU, I think in 2 weeks before making a decision. So, that's a big name to watch. Christian Harris, the linebacker from New Orleans, Baton Rouge, is going to be visiting Alabama again next weekend for A-Day. It's going to be his fourth visit to Tuscaloosa since February. So that's certainly a guy that I would keep a very close eye on. I think everybody's talking about him as a guy that's probably the next to commit. That would be a big get for Alabama, because even though he's just a 3-star right now on Rivals, I think he's going to end up getting bumped up eventually. He's one of the top athletes in the country, and he's Alabama's. I wouldn't say he's Alabama's number one inside linebacker target, because I don't know who Alabama's number one target is, but he's one of their top tier targets in this class. They really want him, and he would be a very welcome addition, to their recruiting class if they could get him on board.
Good stuff, Andrew. And of course, you can catch all the recruiting coverage back at BamaInsider.com. If you're a YouTube subscriber just checking this out, you can go to BamaInsider.com and type in the promotion YouTube and get free 30 days to BamaInsider.com. We'll catch you back on the website. Scrimmage this Saturday. We got practice on Friday, so expect another Insider Report Saturday. We're going to hear from Nick Saban. Andrew Bone will be, dominating the recruiting scene as he usually does. Hop on over to his message board. From Tuscaloosa, Alabama, this is the Talk of Champions on YouTube. We're streaming live. Be sure and subscribe, and we'll catch you soon on BamaInsider.com.